Welcome back. Today we are going to argue about Music to Be Murdered By. I personally think it's Eminem's best album. Let me know what you guys think. Let's argue about it. I just think that the record has a lot of cohesive elements to it. I think that not only did Eminem channel all of the complaints about like everything from Revival and Kamikaze, and then kind of like sharpen all of those complaints and package it up in Eminem fashion and just give it to us. But then he gives us side B, which is a second full-length album, which is just crazy. I will stand by that forever, that no album prior to this one of Eminem's has actually surpassed it. And that's coming from a long Eminem fan, like since a kid, since a baby. Like my dad was listening to Eminem when I was a kid. So the best Eminem album of all time, as it stands, is Music to Be Murdered By. And I'm including both of the albums together. I think that side B is maybe not as good as the first part, but I think that it adds a lot, and I think there's a lot of necessary songs on it, like Favorite Bitch or Zeus, Alfred's Theme, which is honestly surprising that one wasn't on the original, but yes. Anthony Fantaminos is not the only one that hates Music to Be Murdered By. And that's my goal, is to stand up against the new age Eminem hate, because it's fire. And he's outdoing himself. He's outdoing himself tenfold. And when you listen to this record next to like Slim Shady LP or the Marshall Mathers LP, it is streets ahead. Like, yeah, he's rapping and it's fresh and he is saying all this zany stuff. It doesn't seem like he's trying too hard or anything, but he is so like polished in every one of his abilities, from storytelling or the lyricism or the beat selection. Like, he has the money to put together an awesome record now, right? Like, I don't know if I'd be able to say a favorite song on the record or the album. Even just saying a favorite Eminem album in general is kind of hard. Like, it's kind of taken a lot. I think in my tier list, I actually put Recovery as my number one spot, and I've since changed on that. And I kind of alluded to my thoughts changing on that because of how much I like this record. I don't know, off the top of my head, You Gon' Learn is a really good one, or like I said, Zeus is really good. But I even like the other ones that kind of don't get talked about, like In Too Deep or Never Love Again. I don't know, I feel like the only song that gets really talked about on this record is Godzilla, and that's because it has Juice WRLD in it. Yes, Godzilla is a banger. And it's really cool to see Juice WRLD and Eminem together. And I feel that way about the new song too, Lace It. I feel like it's kind of weird that Juice WRLD had the pre-recorded part and then Eminem's is obviously so later. But they did really well with that. Godzilla is probably better though, to be honest. I too would love to see more of Eminem and Lil Wayne. I actually put out a poll not that long ago about who we would like to see Eminem collab with, and I put Lil Wayne on there. And some people said they've had enough, but he did Forever with Drake, Kanye, Wayne, and Eminem. That song's a banger. There's No Love from Recovery. That's a banger. There's Drop the World from, I don't even know which Lil Wayne album that one's on, but all around the 2009-2010 time frame, and all three of them are just absolutely insane, actually. So Lil Wayne would be a crazy collab for Eminem right now. I would love to see like Eminem kind of. What about Nas? Like, Nas just released a bunch of albums in the last year or two, 3-4 years, whatever. I would love to see Eminem and Nas. They've never done a song together, ever. And Eminem has praised Nas on like 50 occasions, so it's kind of weird that he hasn't like tried to make that happen. I don't know. Joyner would definitely be good to see again. There was like a rumor or like a leak that I don't know if it'll ever come out. Hobson would be cool. He shouted out Hobson. Gave me hope that could happen. I don't think NF will ever happen. I don't think Eminem and NF is ever going to happen, as much as I would personally love for it to happen. I just doubt it. I don't think so. You liked Revival? There was definitely good qualities about it. I at least understand why it's his least enjoyed album. Unfortunately, I understand that, but maybe it's a little overhated. It's almost just like a trend, a joke, a gimmick to hate Revival at this point. Like, it's really not that bad. Like, Castle is good, A Rose, but it's still not better than the best album here to ever be released by the man thus far. I don't know. I just feel like the beats were insane. Like, he did trap beats. Like, to think that Eminem would be jumping on some trap beats would be crazy. And he out raps himself again. Like, he broke his record with Rap God in 2013, and then broke it again with Godzilla. Godzilla, I think, still to this day, maybe is the fastest rap song. I don't know that for sure. That might be wrong on that, so don't quote me. It's definitely his fastest verse. I know that. I liked the MGK diss. I thought both MGK. I thought MGK did surprisingly well for not being like a battle rapper or like much of a serious lyricist at all. I think that he kind of actually held his own and at least made a catchy song. I think that's kind of the main thing. I think Ice Cube says that delivery on a diss track is everything. Like, so, he brought it on a catchy song, so that worked out in his favor. But Eminem definitely slaughtered him 20 times over on Kill Shot, of course. So didn't last long. And I think he got some words on Music to Be Murdered By as well. He definitely got some words there. I want a compelling argument. I want to hear someone tell me why a different project is better beyond just telling me that it's garbage. Because when and if people start coming in on this and start telling me I'm wrong, they're not going to tell me that, the Marshall Mathers LP is better because of X, Y, and Z. They're just gonna say my opinion's ass and they're gonna carry on. So I'd really love to explain, like, someone to actually put up a fight here with me, because I'm prepared for this. I love this project. I've listened to it 100 times over. So I'm really excited to see if anyone at all has something beyond "you're an idiot." Most of the like beloved Eminem records aren't my most favorite records. So like, I do love the Slim Shady LP, I loved Marshall Mathers LP, and I love the Eminem Show, but they're not the best records from him in my opinion at all. I put Recovery above them. I put this one above them, obviously. So as much as they're classics and held in their own regard, I just don't think that you can tell me a man that's been doing it for 25 years has not gotten any better in 20 years. I think that him not being on drugs plays a weird part in it. I think maybe people's perception of him has changed because of that. I don't know. I think he's only gotten better and sharper, more skilled, smarter. Like, look at Encore. That was his peak of drug use, and it's like, yikes. That might be worse than Revival, actually. So it's like, I don't know if the drugs necessarily play a part, other than the fact that people just know that he's not on them. I don't think necessarily it being long is that big of a deal. Maybe there's just too many songs that outweigh the others for some people, but I think that there's some pretty quality albums that, are pretty long, that people praise and hold in a high regard. Also, like, people were shitting on this when it was just the first half. Like, when it was just side A, when there was no side B, people were saying this is a dog shit album. So it's like, I don't know, the corny bars. But Eminem's always kind of been on corny bars. If you listen to his first album, Slim Shady LP, he's talking about fighting a woman in a laundromat. Like, he's bringing up the silliest, zaniest, corny, if you will, subject matter. The situations he puts himself in are nonsense. Like, it's all silly. Eminem has been consistently silly, weird, zany, and out there since day one. So like, this embodies that. I feel like I don't think it takes it in a immature direction. I think that, you know what I mean? Like, if they didn't want corny bars, then why didn't they like some of his other things more. Like, I feel like he's been pretty mature on some other things that didn't get any attention. Yeah, it's been deemed shit. That's why I'm here. Both sides have been deemed shit, and I'm mad about it because I don't think that either side is shit. I think that there's very few actually bad songs. Like, Stepdad comes to mind because I think that song's just kind of annoying. The hook is not executed very well, but the story's actually pretty insane. Yeah, they've definitely just shit talked the album. No one has said very many good things. I've heard very few people actually say anything positive about this record. I don't really understand. It doesn't seem like anyone has actually listened to it because the levels that he takes things to lyrically and his abilities is just wild. It's insane. And it's like they just I think a thing that a lot of it is that people can't recapture the feeling that, say, the Marshall Mathers LP gave them when they were in the 8th grade when it came out. You know what I mean? I think that the music you listened to when you were a kid and the way you perceived it's a nostalgic thing. Like, if Sweet Life of Zach and Cody aired on television right now, I would be upset at it because it wouldn't be the original. It would be a new version of it, and it wouldn't be the one that it was when I was a kid. This is not the Eminem you had when you were a kid. This is 20 years later Eminem that is doing something different. And I think that longing for what you used to have is damaging in the long run. Like, I think when people do that in general with music, when people are stuck in a certain time period with music and start just saying all new music's shit, and it's like, yeah, well, you're never going to like anything ever again if you only look to recapture nostalgia in music. You know what I mean? You have to be able to evolve and expand and grow and keep an open mind at what else there is. I disagree. He has a lot of songs that are kind of a mixture of both, because that's why I mean by him being able to kind of find a nice, healthy middle ground. It's because he does have a mixture of songs that are very great storytelling, some of his best storytelling he's ever given us, and then he has songs that he's just going in for bars and going crazy with random ass similes that don't make sense from the next line. And I think that that's kind of what Eminem was to begin with too. He had several songs on each of his beginning records that were just all over the place, and he had songs that were a story or had a theme at least. And I think that he did good at kind of keeping both sides. Like, when you look at songs like Darkness, or even his verse on You Gon' Learn, Never Love Again, She Loves Me, like, he has a lot of great concepts on this record, but then he goes in crazy for bars like Godzilla or Marsh, Lil Engine. Like, it really is the best of both worlds. And I think having it so long is kind of helping that, because you have so many songs that you could really divide out into like 4 different categories. And maybe people would say that that's a horrible thing to do on a record, but they all go with one another too. Like, some of the songs when listening on shuffle, like, it's almost hard to listen to that way, because I'm used to listening to Unaccommodating and then You Gonna Learn right after. It doesn't sound right listening to Unaccommodating and then a different song right after. I'm expecting to hear You Gonna Learn right after it. Like, my ears are anticipating it. And I would say that there are more that aren't on, like, Marshall Mathers LP as well. The biggest and one of the only ones on the Marshall Mathers LP is Stan. Most of the other ones are him just kind of going crazy and talking about random stuff. Like, I guess Kim and Stan. Kim and Stan would be the most storytelling type of songs on the Marshall Mathers LP. The rest of it are just saying random out there shit, talking about robbing bank or killing Dr. Dre with an AK and crazy shit like that. Like, he has become so much more of an artist from that point. He is more of a producer. He's more of a songwriter. Like, at first it was just the rapping. It was just the lyrics and ripping somebody apart, or, rap battling. Now it is making a record. Now it is making a cohesive sound and coming up with something new or something different, or outdoing yourself. I feel like there's a major song or two that I'm forgetting from this. Premonition, The intro track is absolutely insane, which is kind of funny because all of the hate that is on this record, he kind of addresses before anyone actually listens to it, because it was a surprise drop. Music to Be Murdered By comes out. First track is Premonition, and he's literally talking about this like tug of war with you guys, the viewers that don't like his new music, saying like, wow, I've been doing it this long at this level, and everyone basically just tells me to get bent. It's like, yep, this is how it happens. He talks about comparing it to Tom Brady, which is a wild comparison, but it actually makes like a lot of sense. Like, this man is shit on for outdoing himself and saying no one likes a white lyrical rapper anymore, rather than being praised for how far he's come, or the recovery, fighting addiction, being a good dad. Like, there's so much more to the man than his music, and people just shit on him regardless anyway. So I know that's not a fair argument to the actual music here, but I'm just saying. I'd love for Eminem to outdo it, though. I'd love for a 2024 record to, be his next best record, to outdo Music to Be Murdered By, because I don't want it to just be where I have the nostalgic feeling and it ends. I want it to be where I can watch the guy grow. I really like NF too, which a lot of people don't. But same thing with him. Like, part of me was kind of like that at first. Like, it got to the point of Perception, and I was like, this is probably as best as he's gonna get. But he just kept going, and instead of being stuck in my bubble and saying this is his best album, I allowed him to, reach me and listen. And I think that he's outdone himself multiple times. I disagree. I think it is a fair comparison because everyone's constantly growing and changing. He's 51 years old, and even just in the last, from Revival to this album, he's a completely different social person, at least. Like, when you look at his perspective, he's grown and changed, and he probably will continue to do so. If he threw in the towel right now, I'd be fine with that too. But if he's going to put out another record, I don't want it to be shitty. I don't want to just be like, no, nothing's going to be better than Music to Be Murdered By. I want it to be an album that I can look at and be like, yeah, this is a cool next step forward. Like, Eminem has said that he only gets compared to himself, and I think that's true, because no one's sitting here being like, yeah, this is so much worse than fucking whatever, like, only ironically just to brush it off. But in a real conversation, if you were actually going song for song or bar for bar and looking at what each thing is, I think that Eminem in most playing fields will win, actually. No, if it's not better than Music to Be Murdered By, I wouldn't hate on it. I would definitely be honest and say I don't like it as much and it's not for me, but I wouldn't be an asshole. Like, I don't think it's that serious. So, like, if Eminem puts out Revival 2 and it consists of similar content and I don't like it just the same, then I would just be like, yeah, that's all right. I'm sure there'll still be a few bangers on there that I will enjoy. So, and as far as 51-year-old rappers, Snoop Dogg, Nas, Busta Rhymes, Eminem, there's a lot actually, and a lot of them are killing it still. Anthony Fantano says Eminem has gone off the deep end and isn't coming back. Probably he might have said that, but that's his opinion, I guess. I think that it's just crazy. Like, if you look at Nas too, especially talking about Anthony Fantano, Fantano has praised Nas's recent work quite a bit. Nas had a pretty not good run from 1999 until like 2019. So it was just kind of like no one cared. No one shit talked him. No one was saying this is his worst thing. Nas is falling off, yada, yada, yada. But it was just like, he wasn't really there, but he has the catalog that he has a bunch of albums in that time period. But then he starts putting out music that I think he was actually mostly because he's working with a newer producer, but then he has music coming out and people are fucking with it. So no, I don't think Anthony Fantano is right. Even if Anthony Fantano thinks that he's right, he won't be right. Eminem is pretty unstoppable at this point. He hasn't put out an album in 3 years, and he just, for the first time, broke 70 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which is a pretty wild achievement considering not having released anything. And then it's also like there's just no slowing that down. There's too many people my age and older that love Eminem and are obsessed with him to the point like beyond where I'm at, that they don't care what he puts out. As if it says Eminem on it, they're gonna get it. I don't think he's going to retire. I think if anything, he's gonna have one last album maybe. And maybe it won't even be a solo album. I could see him doing like one last album with Royce, or one last collab with someone unexpected that is just gonna for sure send it to be a absolute classic banger, and then he might hang it up. I could see that. There's 5 years in between Encore and Relapse. There was 4 years in between Marshall Mathers LP2 and Revival. So there was another 2 years actually between Kamikaze and Music to Be Murdered By. So I don't think that's the case, especially just based off the years. Like any other artist, like Drake or Lil Durk, if they just stopped releasing albums for several years, like those are artists that release every year, sometimes multiple times a year. So if they just stopped for several years, unless Lil Durk was in prison or something, then I would maybe start assuming that. But as a man who has routinely taken that long to release, I don't think that's the case. And the songs that he's posted here and there have been pretty solid too. The Snoop Dogg collab was pretty solid. The Dr. Dre GTA thing, that was pretty cool. There's been a bunch of cool stuff. The Fortnite, yeah, we just put a whole generation on to Eminem from Fortnite. He's not going anywhere. An entire generation of 8-year-old Fortnite players have been listening to Eminem for the last 2 months, so it's only gonna get worse from here. And I don't see why he would do that and not put out an album. Like, I mean, maybe, but it just doesn't make any sense to just randomly 3 years into a hiatus be like, yeah, I'll just collab with Fortnite and then, leave them hanging for another 3 years. There's artists who literally only put out their albums. They don't do singles, and they take 4 or 5 years at a time for it. And I mean, Lil Uzi Vert's last album, I'm pretty sure, was a lot. Like, he did the collab album with Future, but in between his solo projects were like 5 years or some shit. So I don't know. Same with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj, her last album was 2018, and then she just released this one. Same with Travis Scott. Travis Scott had Astroworld in 2018 and just released Utopia in 2023. I'm just saying that it's not uncommon to wait several years. It's if anything, it's more weird to be releasing an album that you dedicate your whole life to every year. Like that's kind of a crazy thing. Like Young Boy puts out way too much music. I don't know. I'd probably shit myself if Eminem was putting out 3 albums a year, but I think even Eminem, it'd probably become annoying to me. I'd probably get annoyed with that. Even being a big Eminem fan, I don't think I would enjoy that happening. Maybe once a year, that'd probably be a good moderate amount, enough, a more medium amount, but no. Even that's not happening. I wouldn't even expect every other year. The fact that we got Kamikaze right after Revival was insane, and then the fact that we got Music to Be Murdered By so close to Kamikaze as well was double crazy. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting either one of those. So, but now that he did that, everyone's like, what the hell? It's been 3 years. But they all want more, because when you put out your best album, people are going to want more. People want more right after you put out your best work. So no one was asking Eminem for more after Revival. That's for sure. Everyone was just like, hang it up, buddy. But after Music to Be Murdered By, everyone wants an Eminem album right now. I think he could just do Music to Be Murdered By side C and D. Keep the ball rolling. I'm kidding. That's a joke. I don't want him to do that. I think that would ruin it. That would definitely ruin it. I agree. I think he needs something new, but I could totally see him doing Slim Shady LP 2 or Eminem Show 2. I could see him just kind of going back to that, though. If anything, though, I would love to see the Royce Bad Meets Evil sequel. That'd be a really, really fun one. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. I think for whatever reason, I think more people have respect for Royce right now than Eminem, but it's okay. That'd be cool. He did do the one remix song. I don't know if that necessarily counts, but the Hills remix, if you guys haven't heard that, I'd look that up. It's really cool. He did a really good job. I'm also going to react to an album from the weekend. It was recommended to me by a subscriber to do After Hours by The Weeknd, so I'm going to do that. But I would definitely like to see The Weeknd on an Eminem album, or Swa Lee on a Weeknd or on an Eminem album would be really cool. I really thought Eminem was going to be on Nicki's new album, but I think I saw like a fake track list on Reddit or something, and it, like I said, was a fake track list. So very disappointing, because they've made 3 good songs, maybe just 2, but they're both really good. So I'd love another Nicki and Eminem collab. Another Eminem and Kendrick collab would be pretty cool. A lot of people would probably like to see that. Or J. Cole. He's mentioned J. Cole quite a bit, and they haven't worked together either. I would even listen to an Eminem and Drake album. That's actually true. I wouldn't mind that. They have one song, and that wasn't a bad song. So probably one of the only spaces I enjoy listening to Drake. He's been okay on the Travis records. I think it also has like just straight up the best artwork too. The whole Alfred Hitchcock reference, the whole concept behind that throughout the record too. But like the photo shoots and everything, the other the original version artwork, like all of those pictures are all inspired by Alfred Hitchcock, the horror film movie director. So I think that is an easy takeaway, is that it's his best album cover for sure. That's an iconic album cover or picture for Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, look at that. Don't look at that. It's sad. But yeah, there's like pictures of Alfred Hitchcock with like the same things like that, and it's really cool. The corner of that album was ripped up by an asshole dog, so traumatic. My lovely girlfriend replaced it with the side B one, but this was the original pre-order of side A, and that's like an exclusive thing. But yeah, ruined the other record and ruined the cover. I still kept it because it's dope. Yeah, dude. Freaking dogs, bro. Freaking dogs. Well, I think I'm going to be ending there. Leave your comments down below. I will definitely be answering all of them. Like, subscribe. Shout out to Eminem. Obviously, he watches the channel. Thank you for watching.